My name is Sergiy Nesterenko, founder and CEO here at Quilter. And we've got Richard here with me. Richard, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, sure. I'm Richard Whitney. I'm the head of product here. So if there are any features you're really hoping to see and you haven't gotten them yet, it's probably my fault in some way.
That's right. Everybody send your complaints to Richard. That's what
Oh,
he's here for.
oh yeah.
Um, all right. So what we want to do is we want to start sharing a bit more actively about all the awesome stuff that we've been working on at Quilter. We've been a little quiet over the last little while, and so we want to change that a little bit. So we'll see how this goes. This will be our kind of first attempt to catch up on some of the things we shipped in 25, some of the things we shipped in Q1 2026, and what's coming up. So for today, we'll cover a few things. We'll cover generally what Quilter is, the overview and the workflow for those who aren't familiar with us, some of the milestones we hit in 25, in 26, and what's coming soon, and we'll leave some time for Q&A. So I see, Akshay, you raised your hand. We'll definitely get to you, and I promise you, you'll be first. Let's go to the next slide, please.
Yeah, of course.
So, for those who might not be familiar with us, Quilter is specifically a tool to help electrical engineers accelerate layouts. So, where what we come in is once you have finished your schematic, and you are starting to work on actually placing, routing your board, choosing your stack up, and getting ready for fab is where we can help the most. And Quilter is a tool to make that go faster. What we do is we ask you to kind of prep your design in your existing CAD tool, whether you're using Altium, Cadence, Expedition. Get it ready with information like what the stack up is, what your outline of the board is, where your connectors go, things like that. Give it to us, give us some configuration in terms of information about the circuit you're working with, what kind of currents, voltages, so on and so forth you're working with, and then Quilter will generate a bunch of candidates for you to review and then ultimately kind of iterate and help you get to your layout faster. That's what we're here to do. One of the most recent things that we accomplished at the end of last year is doing a kind of a proof of concept on a relatively complex board. So we built this board that we call Project Speedrun, which is ultimately a basically mini Linux computer. This board is comprised of a IMX8 CPU with a DDR4 memory and everything needed to run a full desktop version of Linux, take a video call, connect to the internet, browse the web, all those kinds of things. And the purpose of this project over the course of last year was really to push us hard to make Quilter better. And so what we're going to focus on for this discussion is exactly what we shipped to make designs like this accelerate with Quilter. In summary, there's a number of main components that we hit in 25 that were really, really critical for this board. The first one is, of course, I'm sure the audience here is aware that is necessary to build a board like this are things like automated power pours. A board like this is going to require lots of good power distribution networks to power all the different power rails on the CPU and the memory. And so we created a way for Quilter to generate power pours, not just traces, to distribute power throughout the board. We focused a lot on helping with placement on this board. So figuring out how to allow you as the designer to create regions on the board, which will then be populated with your different subcircuits, or to just tell Quilter what the different groups are throughout your board, and then let Quilter figure out the floor plan at a high level. We focused on giving you control of the stack up. We found that more often than not, the professional designers that we work with have very specific constraints to the stack up that they need. And so giving you an ability to define that directly in your CAD tools was really, really important, something we focused on. And then full support for keep outs. So being able to keep out different parts of the board on any layer and any types of components, whether you're keeping out traces, vias, or anything like that, so that you can control the parts of the design you want to take care of yourself versus the parts that Quilter is capable of helping you with.
Yeah, so
Uh,
I think it's over to me now. So yeah, our one of our major initiatives, like both last year and this year, is really figuring out how best to communicate between Quilter and you. So like how do you express what you need? How do we confirm that Quilter understood what you gave us so that there aren't any misunderstandings and you know what you're going to get? And if there is some miscommunication, then you find out early before you've like kicked off a job and it's been running for a while. So that's just kind of general framing. And the way I'm going to go through these is actually just with live demo the whole way through. We've got some slides. I could show them to you, but I think it's probably better to just like show you the app in action. So let me get out of here, go over there. Sergi, you want to confirm that looks good to you? Shows up
I can
fine?
see it. Yep.
Good. Okay, so if you've used Quilter before the last week or so, this is probably what you saw. Big unordered list of jobs. That's the way we were working before. But as of about a week ago, we've introduced projects. So projects group like jobs. So within this QHub project, for instance, it's all QHub jobs of various iterations that I've been working on. There are a few reasons for that, separate from how it like unclutters this view, which is also kind of nice, especially for me. Like I run just a ton of jobs because I'm always testing stuff. Um, One is that we've seen that people really do need to iterate. You don't really get it right on the first shot. You discover that Quilter interpreted something differently than you expected, or you want to exert some more control over component placement, or you want a hand route section that's particularly critical to you. And so, you take Quilter's result, modify it, pop it back in, or just modify your original thing. And that's worth noting there. I think Sergiy said earlier is we're just working with your native format. If you're working in Altium, you work in Altium, give us Altium files. We give you Altium files back. You can DRC them. It's really easy to actually like know whether we did a good job or not. So projects also supports a new billing model, which is that since we saw that people needed to iterate and download boards in the middle and really like work back and forth with us, we wanted to make sure you weren't getting charged for that. So the way it's going to work going forward, subject to your negotiation with our sales team, is that you're really just getting billed per project. So you set up a project and you run as many iterations as you like in there. You don't get charged anything for the downloads. You don't get charged for however many iterations you do. It's really project based, which I think aligns pretty well with how people work. You've got an end result that you want, which is that project routed. And so you use Quilter as much as you need to get to that endpoint and you get billed for it. So that's like big framing. And then if we clicked into one of these are mostly done. I'm going to give you one that isn't run yet. So here's a job where I've already uploaded the files because it'd take you a couple of minutes, and Quilter respects your time, even here in a webinar. Um, so I uploaded a bunch of schematics and a PCB doc. This is an Altium file, and you can see this is like what's routed or what's placed, what's not placed. You can see all these rooms. So you got little rooms around some of these, our little dotted lines here. And that's just to confirm that, we ingested what you expected. It looks kind of generally right to you. Mostly, I'm confident, like at this point. I rarely check anything at this stage, but it's there so you know that everything came in fine. So here's one of the changes. So previously we had stack up stuff buried a little bit. It was in a menu. You could change it, but it just wasn't as clear and explicit. So here is a full stack up. We will just show you all your values, make sure everything came in right. Um, Here's what we detected as the purpose of the layers with signal and ground and power. So you know what Quilter intends to use them for, just to make sure that that worked right. And you can also select other stackups, including the one you uploaded, or one of our pre-existing fabricators. So super useful. It's great to make sure that like we got it right and that you're not missing anything. The next one that we heard a lot of asks for is just like right up front, what are my real like fabricator minimums? Like what are the design rules that you're using that we're gonna like comply with? Make sure your DRCs pass. Um, these are, it's worth noting, like really the absolute minimums. Like even if you specify something lower than that elsewhere, we're not going to go below it because you told us that your fabricator wouldn't do less than, 3 mil because you don't want to have that problem. You don't want to have that argument with your fabricator. Um, these placement options are pretty powerful. Component clearance in particular, it's a little bit orphaned right now. It's going to move to its own page pretty soon. Um, but if you want to have a little bit of extra buffer around your components, it's really easy to just set it here. And then you can also tell us if you're looking for a single-sided layout, and we'll try to respect it if we can find a combination. These also, by the way, don't apply if you've fully pre-placed your board. So that is one of the other options here, is anything that you've left, and I'll go back a couple of tabs. Come on, load up. So anything that's within the board outline, if you haven't used Quilter before, we're not going to move. We respect the locations where they're already in. So anything that you really care about, anything mechanical, things with like other considerations that we're not aware of, like connectors, like I don't know where your connector needs to be. I don't know what your housing is. Put your connector on the board. We'll leave it alone. Anything outside the board perimeter, we'll assume that we need to place. And if they belong to a room or a region, we'll make sure they go in that one. And otherwise, we'll do some pretty clever clustering and grouping patterns and try to get them in a reasonable configuration. So again, if you're new here, um, we ask you for a bunch of these comprehensions, and these are all as detected. So I haven't modified these at all. Most of the detection works quite well. So got both my differential pairs, didn't have any single-ended impedance, um, pre-populates all of your power nets, and then you can actually tell us how much current you think they're going to carry and whether or not you want a power pour on them, which is just super useful. Tell us if you're running 2 amps on it, we'll size your traces up. We'll actually calculate that. In fact, while I'm doing this, let's say that, V bus is 2 amps. Because why not? Um, and then one of the ones I'll talk about a little bit more in a second is ground nets. This board only has one ground. I've got another example open that has a couple. This is just a way for you to be very clear if you've got a whole bunch of grounds in your design that this is the one you really want used on your layers and in a couple other key places. Didn't have any switching converters, bypass caps, got the values. We do bypass cap placement based on value. So if you've got a smaller bypass cap and a bigger one on the same pin, then smaller one gets closer, just the way you expect, just the way you'd do it yourself. Collapse these. Had a crystal oscillator, and there are a couple other things coming in the future that I get to see that you don't. So, sneak peek if you're looking closely. And then this is one of our new pages. So we're actually computing the correct trace widths and gaps for your differential pairs. So in the previous window, you were able to set your impedance and I think we're just using 1 GHz as reference right now, but in the future you may be able to change that. And we'll actually calculate what the correct width and clearance is between your diff pairs on all the layers. So that's in there. Don't have to worry about it. The other one that we've added here to this new like computed constraints page is power nets. So I know that I just went and made VBus 2 amps. So there you go, 2 amps over there. And it says I need almost 1.5 millimeters of width on the internal layers. This is based on IPC 2221 with I think a 20 degrees Celsius rise to try to prevent heating problems. Um, but yeah, so calculating out by layer. So and this is what we'll respect when we're routing your board. So as we route those nets, as they travel in the layers, their calculated values will be applied there. And you can see on the 500 mil, it's just much more reasonable widths. All right. And then the other tab that we have here is defining your own constraints. So if you have a net width that you really want supported, you've got some critical signal you want a specific width separate from like differential pairs or one of these power nets, you can set it up here. We'll respect it. Same with by layer. So we've got these separate right now. We're working on combining them. But you can set the width of a net on any layer or just on all layers using the other uh, comprehension. We'll preserve power pores if you want us to. So if you've got some pores on your design that you want to keep, you can mark them as sort of preserved and we'll protect them. Otherwise, we tend to blow them away and replace them with our own. It's totally worth trying both ways. And then we'll also confirm these placement regions so you can fiddle with that if there's any tweaks you want to make. And now we're at the point where you can review everything, check your warnings. I know this board, so I know what those warnings are. Um, and then just go ahead and kick off a job. And then since this is like, the magic of the cooking show, we'll jump forward to, wow, the board is routed. And it took 3 hours and 14 minutes. So that's actually kind of lucky. Get a little pie in there. So this is one of the other things that I'm showing this morning, which is, hey, look, our candidate reviewer is much nicer now. So you can see that we generated 6 placements. So you can actually go through the placements one at a time. see what they look like. And then you can see that it's got this link to the candidate. So like in this case, placement three produced candidate six. There's a couple of things we're working on here, but here's a fully routed candidate. And I'm going to try to move the zoom window around a little bit. Oh yeah, let me put it in the center so I can't see the board, but you can, but I can see where I need to click. This is going to be great. Uh, so we've got nice layer controls. One of the things that I do a lot is I actually turn off pores and substrate so I can look at the routing. This is one of the modes I'm in a lot of the time. So you can see we've got pretty much everything routed. I think there's an air wire or two in here that I'm not seeing right now. I think it missed a couple. Oh, look, there's one of those keep outs that Sergi was talking about earlier. Um, and then one of the neat things we have is we go through and we check everything we ran. So here's a differential pair, and we were unable to run a return path check. That's on us. I think that's probably okay. Um, but the rest of it all passed. And then if I want to look at the other diff pair, there you go. Nice little root there. Let me focus it again. Went around a little bit. It's not surprising in this case. Um, if you want to look at a particular like bypass cap, we'll show you exactly where it is so you can check out any of these warnings. These lists always look a little bit more like terrible than they are because we list the failing ones first so that you can actually make sure to check those out. The majority of them passed. They look good, but we're always trying to surface what you actually need to confirm. Let's see. Was there anything else I wanted to show in here? Sergey, anything else that you like to see in this view?
No, I think one other
Oh,
thing I like to point out is that in the spirit of iteration, you can download the boards at any state, right? So
yeah.
you can download the board either finalized and just go straight into cleaning up the routing, getting it
Mhm.
ready for fab, or you can take one of the placed versions. And
Yeah.
this is an important thing because a lot of times what our customers really do to benefit from Quilter is run the whole thing through just to see what kind of placements and routings you get. Pick a placed version, download it, modify the placement a bit to your liking to correct some of the things that we didn't get exactly right, resubmit again, and then go to routing.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, there's also this little hint up in the corner. We've recently added a couple of like pretty good features. Like Shift C and then click is select the entire net. This is awesome. I use this all the time. It's so fun. Like,
I didn't know that.
oh yeah. Oh man,
That's
Dale's
awesome.
been adding stuff. It's great. Like check this out. Wow, we selected all of
Oh,
the, I assume this is the ground. It's behind my,
yep,
you know, video monitor.
yep.
Um, yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's super good. He keeps adding new hints and stuff. It's fun. So I'm gonna double back a little bit. So here's that ground net comprehension that I was talking about earlier. So here's one that's got ground and earth ground. This is actually a USB hub, and so using a region port for this doesn't super make sense. But on the other hand, it's a board I'm allowed to show you, and so I'm going to use it anyway. Um, so one thing to know about these region ports, and let's go ahead and flip over to seeing it. And let me turn off the top layer. Where am I? Did I just not load the right? Oh no, it's out there. I was just zoomed out wrong. Um, so you can see that this area is the ground earth. So what happened here is I had a placement region. You can see it with like the little dotted lines I'm turning on and off. And then within that, one of the placement regions, there were a bunch of components that all had earth ground. And I said, I want to generate a region pour. And so now I've got a little like isolated ground region here. So it's a nice trick. It helps with a few designs. It is, as you all probably know, dangerous to use. It is definitely like creating split grounds. Use with care. We're not going to default it onto anything. But with the placement regions like this, if you've got components that need to bridge those ground references, like opto isolators or whatever, you just put them on the edge. You pre-place them along the edge of that room, and then works perfectly. Works exactly the way you expect. Um, I think that's about it for the demo part. I will go back to slides now. Let's see. Okay. Talk about projects. Great. Setup flow. Oh yeah, talked about that. Stack ups. Yeah. Ground nets. Impedance profiles. Oh yeah, by the way, we're calculating it with Simbeor on the back end. So if you've used impedance calculation in Altium before, we're using the same thing. Um, full screen candidate reviewer. By the way, you're looking at it on currently my kind of like scaled up for presentation monitor. If you put it on your nice big widescreen, that candidate reviewer scales out just exactly the way you always wished like CAD tools would, that all your CAD tools already do, I guess. It's awesome. Um, so I'm going to turn it back over to Sergi for a couple of things that we're just about to ship.
All right. Yeah, we've got a couple of things that have come up quite a few times with customer discussions that we'll like to highlight. And then after that, we'll take some questions. I know I see a few questions coming in already in Q&A. Please keep them coming. We love the questions. Probably the number one thing we get asked about across basically every company we talk to is, do you support all of my DRC constraints? And as we all know, DRC constraints are basically Turing complete when it comes to all the different things you can do with them. So there's quite a lot to support. So the good news is we're starting to get that built into Quilter. So today, if you go to the app, as far as clearances, as the kind of the main constraint that we consider, you get just one. But what we're about to ship here in a few weeks is full support for arbitrary clearances for all types of cases. Whether it's a custom clearance for trace to via, via to via, via to sides of the board, board to trace, or per net, or a specific keep out, so on and so on and so forth. All of that will be definable. And the goal will be to make that match what's already in your CAD system. So ideally, typically, we see companies already having predefined rule sets that are kind of pre-approved for their engineers to use. The hope is that that could just come in with your CAD file. We'll make sure to match it, and then we will be automatically respecting all of those constraints. And of course, what that does is it allows us to meet all of those constraints and prevents you from doing a lot more cleanup to meet all of them.
Mhm.
That's kind of a detail and not too much fun stuff to demo, but it's very, very important. So hopefully that'll ship here pretty soon.
Yeah, and as we're aware of it internally, then yeah, you should get way fewer DRC complaints once you import it back to ECAD.
Yeah, correct. The next thing that we're focused on that's also about to ship is fan out. And I know we call it BGA fan out here, but it's can be used for a lot more than just BGA. But the basic idea here is that we get a lot of requests for BGAs, anything from small 100 pin size all the way up to massive things that are kind of still out of scope. And what we've done is we've built a special module within Quilter that knows how to do both kind of escaping each pin down to a via, and then the escape route to the boundary of the trace, the boundary of the component. And so maybe I can take the screen for a minute here and
I've
just show
I've
what
even
that
got a
looks like.
screenshot for you, but
Hey, look at that.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually great because what you're seeing here is an intermediate state that you won't see in the app, where we've pre-computed the best ways to get out of each pin and to the boundary. So we're computing what you give Quilter is just the footprint itself, and then what it's figuring out is which way to kind of dog bone and place the via, where to drop down, and then the best way to kind of escape on the correct kind of signal or power layer. And then, of course, throughout the run, the rest of Quilter will kind of hook up to these escapes and trim the ones that were unnecessary.
Hmm.
Let me take over
Yeah.
the screen share real quick just to show it off just for a second.
Yep.
Right, share, and then here we go. And then Richard, please confirm once you see it. All
There
right.
you go. Beautiful.
Excellent. So this is an example of I think probably the same IMX8 and DDR4, but just on their own on this board. And what we're seeing here is a fan out for both sides. So we're seeing a fan out for the CPU section, obviously with the unnecessary parts trimmed that we didn't need in the rest of this demo. Same thing for the memory section, and then the rest of Quilter kind of dealing with how to hook up to that. And as a nice little bonus, you're seeing what we've been doing and talking about with some of the pores to get some of the better stitching here for the grounds and the power sections. This is useful not just for kind of more traditional BGAs. It's also actually we found quite useful for backplane connectors. We see a
Yeah.
lot of customers using these massive. Well, these are not massive, but we see customers using much more massive kind of giant grid connectors. And the same kind of strategy actually works really nicely there too, where we can get to kind of fan out and escape each one of these, and then it makes it much easier for us to get these hooked up and routed.
Hmm.
All right, I'll stop sharing there. And I think with that, we'll be ready to take some questions. Did we
Oh
anything else
yeah,
we missed?
I don't think so. I think that's
I don't
about
think
it.
so. All right. So why don't we? I'll do the webinar chat first, and then we'll switch over to the formal Q&A questions. And Richard, maybe you and I could alternate. First of all, what's up,
Yeah.
Ethan? Good to see you. And then we'll go to the first real question, which is: does the stack up information need to be entered manually? Richard, do you want to take that one?
Oh, no. So we're reading it straight from the files. So whatever you've got in your ECAD shows up there.
All right. All right. Next question is, can Quilter work with expedition projects? Yeah, it's a great question. So the answer is yes. We most recently, I think, already have support for giving you an expedition script to run to export a bunch of the files we would need to process the board and then the diffs that we make back. But what's really even better is we're getting pretty close to releasing binary support. So you'll be able to just zip up your expedition files, throw them in, have us do the work, and we'll write directly to them. So you don't need to do any kind of extra workflows to export and import into Quilter. The binary support is probably going to ship in a little bit, maybe in another couple of weeks. But yes, we do already have people using Expedition with Quilter.
Hmm.
All right. The next question is,
Oh,
and I'll give this one to you.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I'll
so
just read it out for those who are listening real quick, and then
yeah, great.
we'll answer. It says the candidates are labeled 99%. Is the routing we would need to add, or was it unsuccessful at routing certain connections, or does 99% mean fully routed?
Yeah, so 99% means that there were a couple of connections it was unsuccessful at. So there are a couple of air wires in there. We have a couple of mechanisms by which you can surface those so you can look at them in Quilter. But honestly, you're probably going to want to download it, pull it into your ECAD tool, and just like see if those are easy fixes or whether like you want to juggle things around and give it another run.
Yeah, I'll add that this is common, right?
Yeah.
I think we get as we speak with customers a lot, we see the demand for this to just like do the whole thing, right? Like you wish that Quilter would like nail it, the placement would be perfect, everything's routed, just send it to Fab, and that's just not the reality, right?
Hmm.
And what we really focus on is acknowledging that fact that like Quilter's not here to just complete this job for you. It's here as a tool to go faster, and so you should expect that it will do some things that are strange. You should expect to clean up the placement. You should expect to finish and clean up the routing. You should expect to have to do special sections of your board on your own, like RF sections. That's all a part of just where the technology is at today.
Hmm. Yeah, but on the other hand, it might have taken you a week to do it, and doing the cleanup takes you, a few hours. So overall, I think you net out pretty positively. You want me to read a question to
Yeah.
you? We can alternate like
Sure. Well, let's
answering.
alternate. That
Yeah.
works.
Jeffrey Love asks, can the board be exported as format suitable for SI, PI tools like hyperlinks and SI Wave?
Yeah, so Jeffrey, this is the exact reason that we take it as a principle to come in and out of your exact CAD system, right? So Quilter should feel the same as if you had started your Altium project, emailed that project to an in-house layout person or an external contractor or an intern, and then they did the layout and gave it back to you, right? So at that point, you're back in the same tool you've always used. And so whatever process you already have for exporting to SAPI tools, or if they're built in directly in your CAD tool, the design is right there, right? Our goal is not to take you away from your CAD system that you already know well. Our goal is to keep you in it.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right. Any plans to implement net lines, unrevealing algorithm, or speed up the manual pin net swapping and layout?
I'm gonna say no, but I actually have a question, which is anonymous attendee. What do you mean by unrevealing algorithm? Netlines unrevealing. Sergi, do you have any idea? Or
Uh, I don't I don't know how to interpret that one. I'd love the clarification, but
yeah,
I do get the question about pin swapping frequently,
yeah, yeah.
especially on FPGAs and GPIO and
Mhm.
MCUs. Not something we've supported yet, but something we get asked about enough that we should probably start planning on it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the way it goes. Like you get asked enough times, and it goes in our queue somewhere, and we figure out how to work it in. Um,
All right.
so how about can I run Quilter on-prem? I can't share my client status to some cloud service.
Yes.
A good
Yes, this
question
is
from
a
Sarah. Hmm.
very good question, Sarah, and probably the most common thing that we get on calls for, to be honest. Yes, we have and do deploy Quilter on-prem. Generally, most companies we work with typically already have their own instance of AWS or Azure or GCP or any other cloud provider that's already firewalled and acceptable for their, whether it's defense purposes or any other kind of secretive purposes. And we have a pretty good system for just making it very easy to deploy there as well. We all know hardware is very IP sensitive, and Quilter's built with that in mind from day one. So absolutely, best thing to do is to kind of reach out to our sales team and evaluate what that would take for your specific case.
Hmm. And with that, I think we're at the end of the, oh yeah, getting more questions in. Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
More questions.
Does Quilter support any vias other than core vias?
Ah, wow. Really just teeing us up here. I appreciate the question because yeah, we're working on it. We're kicking off a big project to have blind and buried vias and support via templates and a bunch of things like that. Goes along really well with the BGA fanouts. And then also via and pad.
Yeah. Looks like we got the clarification from anonymous attendee about unraveling. It says unraveling it algorithm which help
Oh,
to unravel the
yeah.
crossing net lines to optimize the
Yeah.
routing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we if you've let us place it, then we're already doing
Yep.
that. Yeah.
I think the idea here is once we allow pin swapping, the pin swapping will be
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
optimized to unravel as well, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, but that's
absolutely.
not something we do
Hmm.
yet. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Does the stack up info? Oh no, we already did that. All right.
Yeah.
I don't see any other new questions. Anybody else while we're here?
Oh, does Quilter also support multiple area rules for clearance? Oh, we're working
It's
on
a
it.
good question.
We're working
Yeah,
on it.
it's
Yeah.
that's not going to be the first thing that ships with this first clearance release, but we've known this was coming, and so we do know that our internal constraint system is built with this in mind, and it should be
Hmm.
possible to do. But that's going to be like version 2 of the constraint system, not version 1,
Yep. Yep. There's definitely going to be a little bit of, nuance to getting that implemented.
for sure, for sure.
Um, oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me read this one to you, Sergi.
Let's
Can
do
can
it.
you let Quilter tell you the minimum size board that will fit and route all components?
Yeah, that's a nice one. So we have no automated way of doing this, right? There's no kind
Mhm.
of button you can click that'll auto scale the board. But in practice, what people do, and we see this very frequently, is you'll just make 3 or 4 different sizes and submit them and see what works. And that's quite a common way to use Quilter. We've had some companies even kind of figure out that they can make boards smaller than they otherwise
Mhm.
thought, and that gave them the confidence to commit to those smaller sizes. And so, because the setup is so easy, if you can just make like a few different rectangle sizes on the input, throw them in, we'll do them all for you. It's just an iteration, no problem,
Yep.
and then you'll see which one works.
Hmm.
All right, we've got one for you, Richard. Is Quilter training on my data?
If you're not paying us, we might be. We are definitely, if you're a free user, we definitely have permission to do so, and it might be useful to us.
Yeah, so to
If
clarify that, if you go to our website now, Quilter.ai, and go to the app, you are
Mhm.
all welcome to use Quilter for free as much as you like for
Yep.
non-commercial purposes. And we intend to keep it that way just to let people very easily see where we're at, what's shipped, is it ready for you, right? You can very, very easily assess where we're at that way. But as Richard said, it's meant for non-commercial use.
Yep.
And we do reserve the right to potentially slice and dice your data and use it for kind of puzzles for us to solve.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
paying
yeah. That's
customers,
that's a good
absolutely
call.
not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As Sergi called out. Yeah, we would never do it on like the entire board. We're if we do it, we've looked at a couple of things. We're looking at little subsections as like puzzles. And also, yeah, if you're enterprise, you're paying us. Absolutely not. We don't train on any of the data. It doesn't go into any of our systems. Commercial package. Ah, yes. Yeah. So from Philip Smith, are there trials available for the commercial package, i.e., that don't train on their data?
Generally, yes. So, Philip, the way that we handle these is the easiest way to do a trial with us is if you're willing to use the cloud platform, so that we don't have to deal with on-prem deployments, just because those tend to be laborious. Then, what we typically do is we allow you to just purchase a single board. And that's typically not a very big investment, but you can basically just do a single board design with us. We'll spend a bunch of time with you to kind of help you understand the tool. We'll kind of teach you some of the tricks that we've learned and some of our customers have shared with us. Make sure you get a successful outcome. Make sure you get to the point where you're fabbing that board and are happy with it. And from there, it's up to you. If you enjoyed the process and save time, great. Keep going, and we can talk about bulk discounts. If not, no big deal. Keep an eye, and we'll let you know when we get better.
Yeah, and let us know what didn't work for you. That's always helpful
Yeah.
because that really helps me shuffle the stack.
All right. Next one from Daniel is, can you get more granular with component to component spacing, such as
Hmm.
different rules for through-hole parts versus SMT parts? Nice.
Not yet, but yeah, it's definitely one of those things we've been thinking about with the clearance constraints project and like how we're building that. It's definitely like in the list.
Yep. I suppose you could kind of hack it in a way, right? Like you could
Oh yeah,
just place the
definitely.
SMT components with one clearance, lock that in, leave
Yeah.
the through hole off, do a different clearance for those.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's always
Definitely a
like
hack.
really there's always fun things you can do. I mean, it's like seeing customers do rigid flex. I'm like, wow. I mean, it's awesome that you can do it. I don't officially support it.
Yeah, that's the true story. We've seen customers do rigid flex when, well, it's not meant for that, but
Yeah.
engineers are smart. They find a way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, super impressed. And it looked good too.
They did. Yeah,
I was
honestly, it
quite
did.
surprised. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Happy to take any other questions while we're here.
Yeah, I've got as many as 8 more minutes. Oh, thanks, Linda.
All
Um,
right. I'll read that
oh,
out. Hi, great webinar. I work for Altium. I would like to connect with you offline regarding integration. Do we have a
mhm.
partnership in place?
Yeah,
Yeah, happy to chat. We have like quite a few Altium alums here
yeah,
now. You might recognize Irina. You might recognize James. You might recognize Ben Jordan.
yeah.
So I don't think we have anything formal in place, but yeah, let's connect offline and we'll chat. We've definitely been I'd say friends with Altium for some time now.
All right. Oh, how about we give it, I'll just sit here in silence, looking forlorn for a couple minutes and just like see if any more questions come in.
Now, radio show. We got to start a PCB, Cup of Joe morning talk track.
Oh, it'd actually be pretty fun. It would get me thinking about some of my projects again. I haven't worked on any of my private projects for like, my personal fun things in like so long. At least my electronics things. I'm always doing like, plant stuff around the house.
Richard, this is also partially a recruiting event. We don't want to scare people from joining us. We work hard, not
Oh,
that
no,
hard.
no, it's not that. It's just that like I tell you, you stare at other people's PCBs all day, you start feeling like a little bit embarrassed about your own, and then you just like,
Yeah, that's true. I definitely see people designing boards that are way better than anything I could build.
oh
That's that's
yeah.
that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a
Like
fact.
why would I do this little jokey thing that's only got like 20 components on it? Oh yeah, from Anonymous. What about complex vias? Stacked, buried, blind, VIPPO.
Yeah, this is another thing that's coming up here quite
Yeah.
soon. So I don't think it's something we'll get to in quarter two probably, but probably sometime in quarter three would be when we'd aim to ship that. Definitely another very common question we get all the time, all the
Yep.
time.
Yep.
To be clear, what's interesting about this is, we currently position Quilter as something that's really best for your R&D boards, right? Like we don't typically encourage customers to go and use this for production, for volume manufacturing, for super crazy DFM rules and everything like that. But for your iteration cycles, it's really really helpful in saving time. At the end of the day, that's what we do is we save you time. But of course, if you're prototyping a board with blind and buried with tiny BGAs and you need blind and buried vias, you still need it, even though it's a giant board that's super sparse. So
Yep.
it's a very common question and definitely something where we're starting to roadmap out already.
Yep. Yep.
Who creates all the library components?
Does do we have library components? I think we don't have any. I think you do. You make the
Yes.
library components.
Yeah, I'll give them motivation for this, Philip. So, my experience before starting the company, I worked at SpaceX, and at SpaceX we had these wonderful, wonderful librarians who made sure that our library was awesome. And with that, like basically, we had to use those components, right? Because you don't want to have a bunch of engineers randomly committing library components to a nicely curated library. That's just going to turn into havoc. And what we found is that most of our customers kind of live in that world. So in general, most of our customers are big enough to have librarians to then make those parts available. And then the way we get to them is all of the footprints are already loaded inside of your board file.
Hmm.
So we're not actually needing to connect to your library. We don't need to parse your library files or anything like that. In your actual board object, the footprints already exist. Uh, Conversely, we don't help you create those footprints. So if you need help creating footprints and you don't have a librarian team, like that's not something that we currently do.
Yeah. Uh, Sarah says, uh, kind of feel like you speak Altium language. Totally true. Like the term room is pretty Altium specific. I think pretty much all you showed demo was, yep, was Altium. How tested is this for other CAD tools? CAD tool agnostic is Quilter?
Yeah, so the key thing here, Sarah, is everything that Quilter kind of like everything that the Quilter engine thinks about and does is in our own internal CAD representations. So really what happens is whatever CAD system you come to us from, we take that, we then convert it into our own kind of internal representation. We do all of our work, and then we map it back to your CAD system.
Mhm.
So what we then have to do is we have to make sure that those conversions from, be it Altium to our internal system or Expedition or whatever else has to be really good. Now, the reason we kind of speak a lot of Altium language is it's the first professional integration we built out. We have built out KiCad primarily for hobbyists. Professionals don't really seem to use it that much yet, but that one is already pretty good and is mature and has been there for a while. Altium is quite mature. We've had it going for quite a while as well. The Cadence one was the next one we built out, kind of halfway through last year, and it's getting pretty mature. So I think it's pretty good. And
Mhm.
Expedition is our youngest integration, and it's getting better pretty quickly. So our goal is to be totally agnostic. But of course, just in the sequence in which we rolled these out, Altium has the most testing so far.
Yeah, and while I may say rooms, at least within the tool, we do say regions. So we do try to be a little agnostic in our terminology, but like, you get anchored to certain languages. So next question is like, oh yeah, you can give this one to me.
Yeah, you got it. Right. How about collaborating with Nano Dimensions and their PCB 3D printers? Could allow for some super fast turnaround prototyping while being perfectly integrated with constraints of the printer built into Quilter. Love
Yeah,
that
no, I
question.
love it. Man, it's not on the roadmap, but I'm down. Like everybody needs boards faster.
Yeah, I'll say I don't know if we've ever done a board that's been fabbed with nano dimensions. I'm sure
Mhm.
I'm sure it'd be possible. I actually don't see why not. But we do have a lot of people doing lots of other types of kind of fast designs, right? I think I spoke with a user just yesterday who's using a mill at home, and
Oh
they kind
yeah.
of tricked Quilter
Mhm.
into doing like a one layer design. That's
Yeah.
a classic.
Yeah.
We've seen some companies that have those like laser etching and
Mhm.
lamination machines. Those are expensive, but super cool, and like that works well. Yeah, so the more hardware there is to make boards quickly locally, I'm for it. And
Yeah.
I'm excited for
Oh
that.
yeah.
All right, this is a perfect one for you, Richard. When
I know.
exactly is Expedition
Exactly.
support coming? Give us a date.
Oh, in the past. It's already out.
No, 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 no. It has to be direct in and out. It can't be.
Uh,
It can't be through
it's
scripts.
it's out.
Oh,
It's in
is it?
production. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, no, Sam already shipped it. It's out.
Sam shipped it. All right. Well, there you go. See, I'm out of date on my own tool. Yeah. So I will say that with a caveat. Let's consider that beta support,
Right.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure.
We
For sure.
just shipped the binary direct in and out support. So go try it out. And just there's a little chat bubble in the bottom right. If you see any issues, click on it. At first, a bot will show up. Tell it you want a human, then I'll show up, and then whatever issues you have, I'll pass them to Sam, and we'll get them figured out.
Yep. Yep. That's how we make sure that these new formats get supported. Um, I'm gonna send this one to you again, Sergi. Do you
Sure.
guys plan to work as a standalone company in the future, or if some giant plans to acquire a Quilter, are you guys okay?
Yeah, we plan to be standalone. I have no plans to sell the company,
Hmm.
and thankfully, I don't think we're in a position where we're forced to sell.
Mm-mm.
If we're forced to sell, that would be bad. I would be
Yeah.
sad. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like we think that the best way to build this kind of tool long term and to really help people go faster is to make a good business out of it. And that's, in my opinion, a solid standalone company.
Yep. Yep. For sure. Got one in the chat.
All right. I appreciate you setting expectations on the limitations of Quilter. However, as an engineer, I'm curious if there is a path to turnkey solution over the next couple of years. Is there a technical limitation, or is it just a matter of time over target?
Oh, it's kind of both, Like in terms of like, can you give us a design and then just like right from the start get a fully finished, perfect board that supports everything you want? Might It's a bit of a stretch, just because like you need to have communicate everything to us and confirm that we understood everything. And frankly, sort of like compiler driven development, there's a certain amount of behavior where like you're like, oh, it's probably good enough, and you just kind of chuck it over the fence and then look at it and see if it was right or not, and then make some fixes, either to run it with us again or just like manual fixes if they're minor. In terms of like one-click magic box, we'll try to get there. Well, I mean, that's certainly a direction we're aiming broadly, but like not at the expense of communicating with you clearly and making sure that you're like really in charge of how the machine works.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit to that just to say that it really depends on your design,
Yeah.
right? Like, obviously, if your design is like, I have a resistor element for a heater and I'm hooking it up into 5 volts and just let it heat up, like, it's kind of hard to screw up. If you're designing an NVIDIA video card, on the other hand, like, okay, no chance. That's not happening kind of in the short-term future.
Yeah.
And in fact, we've done that before. When we started the company, we actually focused a lot more on like how do we get end to end, and some of the early boards we built on our blogs were actually done with the constraints of no human should touch any copper to build them.
Mhm.
So like I have an old microprocessor board here from forever ago.
Oh,
This one's
nice.
ancient. This one's ancient, and to be honest, not a design I'm like particularly proud of. Right?
Yeah.
If you actually look at this design from first principles, it's not great. It's also like 3 years old, right? We do way better than this now. But like,
Mhm.
STM32 processor, camera, SD card, USB, and like it works. It runs. It's got a camera. It can run processing on it. Like, and of course, just because I have to, it gives me a off-skew mustache because why not? So like this was built with no
Hadn't seen
human
that.
touch on the copper, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is that's not the most important thing, right? Like the right now, given the limitations of the technology, what we are here to do is to save you time, right?
Yeah.
And if we're saving you time, then you're getting value out of it. You're using it. We're getting better. Do we get to the point where it's one-shotting boards like this eventually? Hopefully. But that's not at the cost of giving you a tool that you can use right now.
Yeah, your job is safe. There's nobody out there that I know of can get anywhere close to that. All right, and we're at time. Last questions. I'm gonna give it to the count
We
of
need
three.
we need Jeopardy music.
We need oh God, like Hulk from like the 70s. There's this like Bruce Banner walking away music that's just like
Hmm.
fantastic. I think it just like puts a lot of pressure on people because it's kind of melancholy and you feel like you just have to fill the void.
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
all
I
right.
think we can call it.
All right, great. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Richard.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone. If you
Yeah.
have any other questions, feel free to reach out. We'll
Mhm.
be here.
Great. Thanks, folks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.